up, everybody? How are you guys? How y'all doing? Turn those cameras on. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're about to win stages. I mean, I can't play it right now because it'll shut Facebook down and YouTube down, but I would play DJ Khaled right now. All I do is win. All I do is win, but that would shut the TV down. Hey, we've got two unbelievable guests today. Two unbelievable guests, but I'm not going to bring them on until I give you the tool that allows you to win stages on demand. This is the number one tool that I have used to win thousands of stages myself. But what makes this tool more profound is we have close to 100,000 customers across the world that have used this tool to win hundreds of thousands of stages. It's my favorite tool in our toolbox. I'm not going to get into the whole toolbox today. I'm going to get into one tool today. And so I want to welcome you. If you're chiming in, how many days have you been with us? Is this your first, your second, or your third day? Is this your first, your second, or third day? 1, 2, 3. And if it's 1 and 2, don't worry, because I'm about to Cliff Notes day 1 and day 2 in 5 minutes for you. I'm about to Cliff Notes day 1 and day 2 in 5 minutes for you. Deb said I missed yesterday because I was on a stage. Don't worry, Deb. We're about to get rocking and rolling. So welcome, welcome, welcome to the Stages Are Back Challenge. Number one, I've got a secret weapon that's here with me today that you guys are going to love. And I've got a powerful woman who's going to be sharing at the end of today. Elena Cardone is in the house. And I'm so excited for her to be in the house with all of us today. So if you're with us, tell me where you're chiming in from and tell me your biggest takeaway so far this week. If it's your first day, you don't have to give me a takeaway. Just tell me where you're chiming in from. But I want to know that. I want to know that. So, hey, backstage, black card, turn your cameras on. Turn your cameras on. I want to see your faces. I want us to pretend as though we're in the same physical room. You know what you should treat digital stages as? You should treat digital stages as though you and I are sitting at a dinner. I'm not just talking about this one. I'm talking about every one of them. Because imagine being at a dinner table and then having this black box around you that nobody could actually see, or this dark screen all around you. Like, it'd be really awkward and really weird. And the other thing is there would be a lack of connection at that table with that person who's got this black box around them that is kind of siloed out and you can't see them. Like, that's how I want you to see. Like, I can see Deb and Terry and Catherine and Kirsten and Tony and Timothy and Mary Lou and Phoebe and Gilbert and Jacqueline and Brian and Lisa and Amber, who's been a powerhouse all week, and Valerie and Lisa and Yvonne and Chad. And I can see them all in all in all. And so I want you to be here present. Drop, hey, Facebook, YouTube. Let us know your biggest takeaways. So Angeline said, dream stage is when the majority of the people in your audience are your ideal buyers. Yeah, somebody just said, I'm acting like we're at dinner. My husband just handed us that. No, I love it. 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 Well, today we're all about winning stages. Today, to me, is the most fun day. But hopefully you can see how I've built the puzzle with you the last 2 days. And if you didn't watch day 1 and didn't watch day 2, I believe those are up for you to be able to watch within the Facebook group. I don't know that for sure, but I would go back and watch it. But my intention, what most people don't do, is they're not going to give you the Cliff Notes version. And I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version today. And today and tomorrow are completely dedicated to you winning stages. But I have to give you the tool first to allow you to win those stages. So who's excited for day 3? Who's excited? Yeah, Jerry Meeks. Andrew Blackwood, I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, Elena's going to be here, and somebody else who's our secret guest is going to be here. And then my partner and friend, Grant Cardone, is going to be with us on Saturday. Saturday is bringing everything together, and it's celebration day, which I'll talk about in a minute. That was me on Grant's stage. 1,000 customers paid $2,000 for a digital course. Some of them paid $2,500 because they did a payment plan. And that day was the day where I had my first multiple seven-figure stage. It blew me away. Guess what? There's going to be at least 15 people with the chance to also be on the 10X GrowthCon stage, the biggest business, the best business stage, according to many media publications in the world. And if you know the celebrities that me and the entire Cardone team is going after this year to be on that stage, imagine if you were the one on there. Imagine if you're one of those. If you're committed to being on the GrowthCon stage and saying, I'm going to do whatever it takes to be on that stage, write GrowthCon in the chat, write GrowthCon on Facebook, write GrowthCon on YouTube, write GrowthCon backstage here, all my black cards, all my black card holders, write it. And I don't have to have you be on GrowthCon stage. I shared with you one stage of 75 people that it was actually 65 people that Tim Tebow was on. And that one stage generated $1.7 million for his organization that's helping fight sex trafficking. One stage of 65 people. It doesn't take a stage of 30,000 people to make a difference. It takes one small stage. I'm going to see how good you guys are. I want to see it, how quickly. What should your SVI of your stage be? And if you don't know that, that means you missed day one and day two probably. What's your SVI? Look at that. That's one stage of 75 people and you landing 8 new customers. 8 new customers. So you're going to want to write this down. Obviously, today, it's all about winning stages. Day one was about knowing. Day two was about finding. I'm going to give you the 5-minute overview here in a minute on those. Today is about winning stages. Write this note. I see these 2 young guys right here, the Devons. I don't know who the Devons are, but these young boys here who are committed, they're committed to their success, like kids that are understanding the power of stages. I wished I understood it. My 14-year-old understands it. I didn't understand it. Today and tomorrow is practice. I actually want you to go do what I'm about to show you to do today. I'm going to do what I'm teaching you today, and I'm going to try to win a stage in the next 48 hours to show you the power of this. Who else is committed to winning a stage in the next 48 hours? Who else is committed to it in the next 48 hours? It's actually less. I know Amber is, but she's driving. She's nodding her head. She's driving. Who's committed to winning one stage? Right? One stage. Most of these people, all they want to do, a lot of people just want to teach you stuff and drown you and overwhelm you and not allow you to actually go take action in the midst of it. Or you have to buy their program to get any wins. How many of you have already gotten wins from day one and day two? Like if you've already won from day one and day two, write the word win in the comments section. Like write the word win. You're already winning. Well, today I want to take that a step further and show you how to win a stage. And yes, don't get me wrong. I want everybody who hears my voice to spend 2 days with me. And yes, I want you to spend 2 days with me to get a lot of stuff done in 2 days. But I have a moral obligation to make sure that the people who don't can win. And the only way that you should not do this is if it puts you in financial jeopardy. Like I'm just telling you, if it doesn't put you in a financial strain, you need to spend more time after this week. But today, I'm going to give you a tool to help you win. And you're going to practice it today, and you're going to practice it tomorrow. You're going to practice it today, and you're going to practice it tomorrow. Saturday, write this in your calendar right now. If you're in front of your computer, or make a note, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Not only are we going to bring it all together, we're going to all the whole week. So if you miss anything, we're going to make in 45 minutes, we're going to bring the entire week together, but then we're going to celebrate everybody for their accomplishments. And Grant Cardone is going to be with me on Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 60 to 90 minutes. And I'm going to do something. I'm going to gift everybody, even you on Facebook and YouTube. I'm going to gift you backstage that day I'm going to gift you backstage because that's like a little extra training that we didn't talk about, but this is where we're going to celebrate together on Saturday. And then on Monday, this will close it out. Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to bring you, I have 7 to 8 meeting planners who control stages that you're going to get the chance to hear from. Get inside their minds, and I'm going to try to twist some of their arms to give away stages to some of you. The giving away stages isn't the important part. It's getting inside their mind that's the important part. One of my favorite lines from a movie called Wall Street, it said, if you're not on the inside, you're on the outside. Well, Monday, I make you on the inside of stages. This week, I teach you and I have you practice, but Monday, I get you the insider's track. And then that's the closeout of this incredible Stages Are Back challenge, something we've never done. Other people's stages is like other people's money and other people's time. I've helped you recognize that. And when you get OPSs, you get attention, you get customers, you get a premium brand. Hey team, this doesn't need to say brand, Jess. This needs to say premium brand. It's not, lots of people have brands. You get a premium brand when you're on stage, or a premier brand, and you get premier brand, and you get premium pricing. Your brand becomes a premier brand. My brand is a premier brand because of being on OPSs. That's what you get. So what have we done all week? We know stages. Yesterday, we focused on find stages. Today, we focus on win stages. And we have 2 special guests. So I'm going to be jamming today because you guys are in a treat. About 35 to 40 minutes after the hour is first guest. And then right at the top of the hour is our second guest. And so we're going to go about 70 minutes today. Do what you can to be here the entire time because you're going to love both of these. Today's focus is the winning of stages. But let me do my 5-minute. I got my 5-minute clock on the countdown right here. I'm putting my timer. I want to see if I can actually stay with it. For all of you that weren't here, I've got 5 minutes on the clock to recap and give you the Cliff Notes version. On day 1, we talked about knowing stages. There's 4 things you need to know. And this will drive home to everybody. It's not bad. Repetitiveness is not bad for those that were here. Number 1, you need to know who controls the stage and why they would want to hire you. Number 2, you need to know the types of stages that exist and which ones call to you. Which ones do you want to be on? The ones my wife wants to be on and I want to be on look completely different. Number 3, you need to know how many stages you're going to be on in the next year. And number 4, you need to know the SVI, the value of your stage. This is what we talked about on Tuesday. Who controls the stage? The first thing, knowing who controls the stage, they're a meeting planner. And why are they going to hire you? Because you can solve a problem for them. That's why. Today, you're going to learn how to solve a problem for them with my secret weapon. And it's by being able to have one great talk. The meeting planners who controls the stage, and your signature talk is the thing that gets them to want to have you on their stage. The second know that you need to know is you need to know, and guys, flash this up there on their screen for them. You need to know all of the physical stages that exist. If you haven't been here, take a quick screenshot of this. You need to know that there's all of these physical stages, and the next 3 years will be the biggest years in the history of events for these stages to happen. You also need to know that there's a bunch of digital stages that you can be on. My wife wants to be on more digital stages. I like to be on physical stages and a combo of those. But everybody on day 1 got clear on which 1 to 3 physical stages they want to be on and which 1 to 3 digital stages they want to be on. And we talked about this in great detail. Back on me, guys. The third thing you need to know is how many stages do you want to be on? If you know that, write that in the chat. Make a commitment. I'm making you commit to that every day. For me, I want to be on 1 digital stage a week. So that's 52 a year. I want to be on 1 physical stage a month. So that's 12 physical stages a month. 52 and 12, 12 and 52. Those are my numbers. What's your numbers? Get clear on that. These are the 4 things you need to know. This is all day 1. And then the final part of day 1 is know what is the value of your stage. And just to make that really easy for you, what would 8 new customers be worth to you? What would 8 new customers be worth to you? Because if you get on a stage of 75 to 80 people, high probability that you will see 8 new customers. You know what? Tim Tebow got on a stage and almost every person in that audience became a customer of his, a donor of his. So when I say 8, that's conservative if you do a great job. So everybody here who's been with me knows their SVI. That was day 1. I got 2 minutes and 12 seconds to talk about day 2. Day 2 was all about finding the stages, The quickest way to find, so the first thing I talked about is I said a dream stage is when the majority of the people sitting in the audience are your ideal customers. It's not about the size of the stage, it's about the quality of the stage. And so I showed you the 2 ways to find them. First, champions. Bring this up on their screen for people who weren't here yesterday to be able to catch a picture of this. A champion is someone who knows the impact that you are creating in this world around you, and somebody who truly believes in what you have to say. Your customers, your advocates, people you've served, stages you've been on, groups that you're a part of. These are your champions. Come back up here on me, guys. I had everybody yesterday get clear on 5 champions and ask those 5 champions to refer stages to the individuals. How many of you did that homework assignment? How many of you reached out to champions yesterday? If you reached out to a champion, say yes. I reached out. You have champions. I don't care what you say. I reached out to 3. I reached out to 5. I reached out. Who had champions make some recommendations to you? Who came back and had some champions that recommended some? Me, I did, me, I did. I reached out, I did, me. Did they give you some recommendations? If they gave you some recommendations, write the word referrals. Did they give you some referrals? Did they tell you some referrals? Look at this. People who did the work, and I'm going to go longer than 5 minutes because I'm actually making sure you guys did the work. There was my 5 minutes. I'm asking for a bonus minute. So guess what? I'm going to show you what to do with those today. Those that did the work, I'm going to show you what to do with those today. But the other way to find stages is through Google. Description, put this up on their screen, plus type of stage, plus niche or industry, plus geography equals the search that you need to do. So yesterday I did a backstage search and I said the biggest podcast for dentists, the best associate, or the biggest events for dentists in Colorado Springs. You can just play with this deal all day long and you can go find stages. And I showed to everybody, I did a dental search live and I showed them how I found hundreds of stages. How many of you found at least 5 stages? How many stages did you find in your Google search? How many? Write it in the chat. 11. Devin, great job, buddy. 20, 15, 10, 35, 10, 14, 17, 15. Look at this. Look at this. I'm so proud of you. We're working while we're learning. We're doing the work. 15. I made a spreadsheet because it was too far. I found too many. 14, 18. Marie, you'll know how to find all of their contact information. I showed that yesterday, but you'll know how to do that if you're in 10X in the workshop. I'm telling you, you got to be in the workshop, guys. It's a no-brainer. Hey, is that all the people who did the work? So yesterday, I showed you how to find stages. I went 1 minute long on the recap, but today, you know them. You're now beginning to find them. Now we got to win them. Now we got to win them. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to give you the one tool. You see how I'm keeping this like teaching really simple and easy? I can go deep and overwhelm you, or I can go basic and make sure that you simple and make sure that you actually execute it. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm wanting to create for you. So I hope that you can see that and appreciate that. So today, we win stages. Today is all about win. And I would normally play DJ Khaled, like I said, but I'm not today because it will kick us off of Facebook and YouTube. And then everybody on Facebook and YouTube will be mad at me. They'll be upset with me. So I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to sing it. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. You know what I'm talking about? Like today could be the day where we win hundreds and thousands of stages collectively, but that's only if you will take what I'm about to show you and apply it. And how do I know this? In 3 years, our students have won 350,000 stages, impacted 72 million people, and generated $500 million. That's what they've done in the last 3 years. And we're about to have 2021 numbers, so this will probably be closer to 500,000. Who is committed to adding to that number today? Who is committed to adding to that number today and tomorrow? Can you see for a second why I didn't have a 4th day of training tomorrow? Do you see why that was intentional? It was intentional so you could actually begin to apply it today and tomorrow. A part of the day, and you do some work tomorrow, and all of you will have the chance to win stages. So let's not forget this. I know this is from day one, but why is somebody going to let you on their stage? Because you can solve a problem for them. Because you can solve a problem for them. The 2 greatest ways to win stages, and I'm about to tell you the first way that I want you to do today. The 2 greatest ways that if I'm getting started or I'm trying to get on stages, the first one, and you already know this, by the way, I'll come back to this in a minute, is your champions. So if you did the work yesterday, and you actually reached out to your champions and they gave you referrals, the first thing you got to do is I gave this script yesterday to ask for referrals. But now today, you ask them to connect you to those referrals. You're like, oh, that's so common sense. But like my friend and one of my first mentors, Brendan Bouchard, says, common sense is not always common practice. Like now, for those of you that actually did the homework assignment yesterday, reached out to champions, and champions said, oh yeah, I know some stages. This is what you do. You put together a paragraph or 2 as though it's coming from them. Hey, so-and-so, I have to introduce you to my good friend, Pete Vargas. Pete is unbelievable at helping business owners use stages to build their business. And I'm a big champion of his. He's one of the most powerful speakers that I've ever heard, or one of the most powerful subject matter experts that I've ever heard. And I believe he needs to be on your podcast. I really believe he would serve your audience. You write that out. You give it to your champion to make it very easy for them to connect you to the referrals. And you then allow that, you then schedule a call. You schedule a call. And you've got a high probability of winning that stage. High probability of winning that stage. The thing that's going to have you win that stage is them being clear that you can solve a problem for them. That's why my first guest here today to show you about your signature talk matters. He's going to be here in 15, 20 minutes. But that's why it matters today, because you have to show them how you can solve a problem, and how you solve a problem is through one great talk. This is strategy number 1. You with me, Tom? You with me, Chad? Chad, come on, man. Chad, I see you, Chad. You just got to wave at me. We had dinner a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I remember your face, sir. Bruce, I see you. That's strategy number one. That's the shortcut. So if you did the homework assignment yesterday, that's your shortcut. You're going to win a stage if you will get after it. Number two, to be determined, is number two. So basically, today and tomorrow, your job is to either reach out to champions or do strategy number two. So if I tried to teach you this entire campaign right here, your head would spin and you would leave overwhelmed and you wouldn't do anything. But let me point out a few things up here. That light doesn't shine. This is the only OPS campaign that exists in the world that is helping everyday entrepreneurs and best kept secrets win stages on demand. It's accounted for, it will be close to 1 million stages here in the next few years. And this was redesigned to suit a post-COVID world. So you'll see you've got a digital stage path. Bring this, or I want to point to this. You'll see that you have an industry stage path, and a physical stage path. And yes, up here is what I told you to do with champions. And this is what you do to nurture them after the first month. But what we do is we blitz stages for 30 days. For 30 days. And we have this automated, and it's powerful. It's incredible. My intention is not to go through this today. My intention, now bring it up on their screen. What do you think the tool, which tool do you see as maybe the go-to tool that I'm about to teach you that you see repeated on there over and over? And maybe it's the one that kickstarts it a lot of the times. You see a tool, not schedule a call. A call is big. Okay, a call is big, but you got to get them to a call. It's not the Why Me video. Look at it closely. Which tool starts the 3 paths every single time? You got it, Michael. First impression video. Do you guys see that? Do you see the first impression video? It's what kicks it off every single time. Every single time. So I'm not teaching this to you. I'm teaching that one tool to you. That one tool. If you don't have any champions, which I don't think is true, or you didn't have any champions give you any referrals, that's my secret sauce. This is my secret sauce. I would just do this and leave it at that, but I always get those people who have these narratives and these stories in their head that they don't have any champions, which that's false, or that their champions aren't going to give them any referrals. So that's why we're going to focus on this for about 10 minutes. You're going to see it demonstrated in front of you, just like I demonstrated reaching out to a champion yesterday. And you're then going to be empowered to go practice this yourself. So let's talk about the first impression video. Now, let me tell you why this matters. I'm going to give you a few notes that I don't normally give to people on the first impression video. The first note that you want to know is it needs to be less than 2 minutes. The second note that you want to know is that it's actually your audition. Good communicator in those 2 minutes. And the third thing that you want to know is this is all about them. It's not about you. It's about them. And then it will transition into about the problem you can solve for them. It's not about you speaking. It's not about you wanting to be on their stage. It's not about how awesome you are. It's about what you can do for them, not what they can do for you. A couple of people backstage just didn't do a good job with this yesterday, and I told them that we would fix that and correct that today. So who's ready for the script? Who's ready for the script that has won hundreds of thousands of stages? Let's bring this on their screen. It's 6 parts. The first part is building rapport. Building rapport. You got to build some rapport and some personal connection with them. The second part is recognizing them and their event. Them and their event and what they're doing, what they're creating. How great is it what they're creating in their community and with their event? Like being like bubbly about what they're doing and creating. The third part of it is about you, the problem you can solve for them. The problem you can solve for them. That's the third point of this. If you want to know something that's your shortcut, this is it. I do this in my sleep, David Leach, Jerry Meeks. I do this in my sleep. I can do 30 of these in an hour, 25 to 30 of these in an hour. So for all of you that found 10 or 15 stages yesterday, do this in the next 24 hours. The fourth part is social proof that I've solved that problem. The fourth part is social proof that I've solved that problem. Either for myself, remember, for those of you that, but I haven't solved it for customers, okay? Hopefully you've solved it for yourself. I hope you're not being misaligned and trying to help change somebody's life in something that you have no idea what it's about. So I'm just making that assumption right now. So either you've have social proof that you've done it for yourself or for somebody else. Then the fifth thing you do is you create a win-win. A win-win scenario. And then the win-win scenarios, hey, I would love to talk about speaking opportunities. That's your win. And sponsorship opportunities. That's their win. I want to talk about speaking opportunities. That's your win. And sponsorship opportunities. That's their win. And then the final piece is a call to action. Can we hop on a phone call for 5 to 10 minutes? Carolina, you have to say 5 to 10 minutes. You don't say 20 or 30, or you don't just say, can we hop on a call? Can you hop on a call for 5 to 10 minutes? Hey, everybody. This is the magic script. And I'm about to show you an actual video. And this is a video that we only show at one of our $10,000 workshops normally. But I want to drive this home because my intention and goal is that either you're going to ask your champions to connect you to your referrals, or you're going to shoot this first impression video out to all of those stages that you found yesterday. I know my friends yesterday, Joel and Mary, they keep seeing the dots being connected, and it continues today. The dots continue to be connected today. Every day builds on the last day. But I want you to see the power of this, because this video, I want you to see a few things. And before I play this video, and make good notes of what you see me do in the video. But what I want you to know about this video is there was this woman by the name of Mary Morrissey. Anybody ever heard of Mary Morrissey by chance? How many of you came to me because of Mary Morrissey? Put the word Mary. Put Mary in the comments if you learned about me because of Mary. You guys see that? And you see that backstage? Backstage, you guys would all be considered customers, right? You're customers because of the fact that you actually invested in yourself. Well, look at how many customers came from Mary Morrissey that are just on this call right now. You see that? Now watch this. I heard about Mary Morrissey and I thought, man, dream stage, ideal customers that I can serve. So I had a friend named Jesse. Watch this. Jesse's event was the very first event that I spoke at, a little stage of 50 to 75 people. I landed 20 customers. I said, Jesse, I'm supposed to do more of this. Do you know any other people whose stage I should be on? He said, yeah, Mary Morrissey. And I know her son, Matt Boggs. So he introduced me. I asked him for referrals. Y'all tracking with me? I said, will you connect me with Matt Boggs? He connected me with Matt Boggs. Matt Boggs and I got on a call. Matt Boggs said, Pete, this talk sounds amazing. I think our people need this. And there was an event, I believe it was in March. And I want you to follow this timeline. I was already in California from Thursday to Sunday. And their event was on Monday or Tuesday of the next week in LA. I said, I'm already in Cali too, Matt. And he's like really excited. He left the call. It's like a lot of us who think it's a done deal just because they gave you that kind of affirmation. But Matt called me back and he said, Pete, I talked to Mary and she doesn't like to have anybody on the stage that she doesn't know and hasn't built a relationship with yet. So I don't think this event's going to work out, but maybe the next one. I said, Matt, I'm already in town. Can I start building a relationship by just coming to the event? You guys want to know how to get the attention of the people that you have a lot of respect for? Show up. Become customers of theirs. Like I said, can I just be a customer? Can I come to the event? Matt goes, dude, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Come. I said, and then I followed up with this. Watch this. I said, can I send Mary a video? And he chuckled. He said, Pete, I love that you're going to be that intentional, but I just want you to know that it won't help for this one, but it will definitely help for the future. So go ahead and send it. So I sent it like on that Monday or Tuesday before the event, maybe Wednesday, I don't remember. And I'm in California on that Thursday. And a little notification pops up on my screen. And it says that somebody just watched that video. And then 10 minutes later, I get a phone call from Matt Boggs. And Matt Boggs says, Pete, you're never going to believe this, but my mom wants you to speak next week. First impression video. You guys want to watch that video that I shot to Mary? Turn your cameras on. If you don't turn your cameras on, hey, boot everybody out that doesn't have their cameras on, and they're not going to get to watch this video, Miranda. Boot them out. Boot them out. They don't have their cameras on. Boot them out, Miranda. Boot them out. That's a joke because we would do that, but it got 10 people to turn their cameras on. So I want you guys to watch this video and I'm going to tell you the results, but I don't just want you to watch it from a place of learning. I want you to watch it from a place that over the next 24 hours, you're actually going to send some out. You're going to send some out. Cool. Let's watch this.
Hey, Mary, it's Pete Vargas, just coming to you from Colorado Springs, and I just wanted to take a quick minute and introduce myself. I've had the privilege of getting to know Matt really well, and I'm grateful for Jesse Dobeck and Brendan both, because that's how I got to know Matt, and just blown away by what you're doing. Matt, about 8 months ago, sent me one of your talks and the things that you're doing for coaches, and just been on all your websites and just absolutely amazed at your results. And so kudos for that. I know you don't know me. My life was deeply impacted 13 years ago by a speaker who came into our community, and my dad heard him, and it completely transformed my father and I's relationship. And as a result, starting with that man, I've committed most of my adult life to helping people get on stages, not for the sake of the stage, but for the sake of what they have to offer past the stage, because that's what changes people's lives. It's not when they hear me speak or anybody speak. It's when they go deeper with that person in their products and services. And so Matt might have told you, but we've booked over 25,000 stages. It's approaching over 30,000 stages. And so people can be in front of their ideal buyers, deliver a powerful message, and ideally have those buyers go deeper and deeper with them. And so anyways, I'm excited to be a part of your community. Matt and I are talking about how we can help your community get on those stages, and I'm really excited and honored to be a part of your community. And I just wanted to shoot you a quick video and let you know that. So can't wait to connect with you, meet you, And I just told Matt I would like to shoot you a quick video. So anyways, have a great day, and I look forward to hopefully meeting you sometime really soon.
Guys, is that helpful? Did that help you guys? Can I point out a few things? Number one, my light is terrible. No light. Number two, I didn't go upstairs and say I better shave before I shoot this video. She's not looking at my beard. She's looking at my message. She's looking at my talk. Number three, I had just gotten done working out and I didn't go change. Number four, I forgot to remove this like prospect list that was on the back of my wall. And number five, probably the most important thing, and this might be the one that's important for all of you, is I chose not to do all of those things because I would not come back and do the most important thing, which was shooting the video, if I would have went to try to do all of those other things. You're too busy doing the wrong things and you're not taking action in the thing that means the most and matters the most. All I needed to do is get that video deployed. If I would have went and shaved and showered and cleaned up and done the light, I would have talked myself into doing it tomorrow. How many of you are tired of doing it tomorrow when tomorrow never comes? I shot the freaking video today. I hope that a lot of you take that action today. I hope you don't even wait till tomorrow to shoot the video. I gave you another day tomorrow so you could practice, probably mess up, and then go do it again tomorrow. But she booked me. And not only did that campaign work, she booked me. And all of a sudden, I was on her stage. And that day on her stage, I landed over 100 new customers. And you just saw some of them say that in the comments right here. Right here. Like hundreds of customers, multiple six figures. And I've been on her stage 4 or 5 or 6 times since because of these two things. You want to win stages? Let's go do the work. Let's go do the work, because that didn't just win me that won me these 3 digital stages too. That generated 931 leads and 38 new customers and $58,000, or 139 customers and 250,000, or 6,000 new leads for free because I gave a free gift away that landed 352 sales and $408,000 because I was diligent in reaching out to digital stages. The same is true with physical stages, a small breakout room, a large main room. And maybe some of you just want to dominate an industry. This is our domination of the financial advisor industry. On Saturday, I'm going to show you the video and the sequence that won me my first $1 million stage. This was actually over $1 million when it was all said and done. I'm going to show you how I won this stage on Saturday. But the majority, if not all of those, encompass 1 or 2 of those. And so my last question to you guys today, before I bring on our special guest that's going to help you understand in a powerful 15 minutes of how to solve a problem, my question to you guys today, no, those are just the event day values. That's not even the lifetime values. Great question, Judy or Lauren. Those are just what happened immediately after the stage, not the lifetime value of those stages. So my question to you is, what's your SVI of 175 person stage? What's 8 new clients worth to you? What's your SVI? Tell me in less than 10 seconds. Facebook, YouTube, Backstage, tell me in less than 10 seconds. Because I want to get this guy up here. If you really believe that is your SVI, you believe that's possible, and you will even more so after I bring on my secret weapon, I'm going to tell you, you being a part of the 10X Stages live workshop that has sold for $10,000 in the past and sells every day for $5,000 to $6,000 is a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Day one, we build your talk. Day two, we build out your campaign. Not just one tool, multiple tools. Your talk, you're done. Your campaign, done. That's what you're getting. And you can join us in person or virtual. We have two of them coming up. One October 17th and 18th in Scottsdale, one November 29th and 30th in Miami, in person or virtual. It's a $10,000 value. And you already know this if you've been with us for the week. On September 8th, we're re-recording the course that many people have bought for $2,000 to $3,000 alone. This course alone people have bought it for $2,000 to $3,000. And we're reshooting the newest version, and you get to see us do that in 4 hours, so you know how to shoot a course, but then you have lifetime access to the new version. It's being shot on September 8th. That's bonus one. Bonus two, we're going to have a one-on-one call with you to design your stage strategy for your business. Not my business, your business. That's $1,000 value. The third thing we're going to give you that nobody has except for people who've been a part of our workshops, the Insiders Track Masterclass on how Grant Cardone used stages to build his business. Nobody has this training except for me. And I did it with Grant 2 years ago. And he said, stages made me who I am. You're getting that training as well. And then a lot of you know this already, but for those of you that take action, and this offer closes down on Tuesday night. It closes down, meaning all of these bonuses go away on Tuesday night. The fourth bonus is a guaranteed VIP audition of the Great American Speak Off that we will be taking to cities this fall. And as we take this to cities this fall, 10 to 15 people will have the chance to be able to be on the GrowthCon stage, and you get a guaranteed VIP audition. That's what you get, guys. It's $16,000 worth of value. If you've been here, you know that every day this is what we sell it for. Every day this is what we sell it for. Put this on their screen. Grant said, don't tell them, show them. I've never done what you're seeing on your screen, but last week Grant said, I don't like people to tell me they've done something because I don't always believe it or trust it. I want them to show me. I'm showing you the hundreds and thousands of customers who have paid for that. I'm scrolling through you and seeing that they paid for that and paid that price. And so before I bring on my guests, you guys can come back up to me. You guys get the chance to have not only all of that, but you get to do it for a one pay of $29.97 or a three pay of $10.99. And you just go to 10xstagesworkshop.com, 10xstagesworkshop.com. So here's what happens. The price of that is for the first 100 people. I want the first 100 people that are fully committed. That price goes away after 100. But all of these bonuses go away on Tuesday. And so I hope that you guys on right now will go to 10xstagesworkshop.com. This whole week has been all about stages. And right now I'm bringing on a guest. He's going to give you a power talk, and this is going to help you. And right after him, Elena Cardone is going to be with us. But this guy is going to help you in a powerful and profound way to understand how to design one talk to solve a problem for your audience. Pat, I hope that they'll go to 10xstagesworkshop.com, but I want you to be present for my secret weapon who's going to help you understand how to have the most amazing talk that all stages will want. Will y'all give some love to Mr. Pat Quinn? Pat Quinn.
Hey, thanks, Pete. This has been such an amazing 3 days, and today showing exactly how to win stages. I'm so excited for everybody here who, if you implement what you have learned in the last 3 days, you are going to win stages. But what I want to spend my time talking to you about today is what you do when you win that stage. What do you say when you have the opportunity to speak in front of someone else's audience? Whether you have 10 minutes on their stage or an hour on that stage, how do you turn that opportunity into impact? How do you turn that opportunity into revenue? And so it's super exciting for me to be able to be here and show you how you can not only solve a problem for the meeting planner, which is to deliver a great content rich presentation for them, but also turn that into customers, clients, revenue, and impact for you. And the way to do that is what we call a signature talk. A signature talk is not how you give regular content to your audience again and again and again on Facebook every day or on your YouTube channel or in your newsletter. Your signature talk is when you get up in front of new people, usually on other people's stages, how you introduce yourself to them, how you tell them what you do and how you do it. And I got to be honest with you, most people who I watch do it absolutely wrong. They do it absolutely backwards. I've been fortunate over the last 10 years to help some of the biggest names in the world maximize the return, maximize the impact of the stages that they go on. But most of the people that I work with aren't professional speakers. Most of the people that I work with wouldn't even call themselves speakers. Most of the people that I work with have a cause, have a message, have a business, have a service that they want to get out to the world. They feel like they're the best kept secret, and then they get an opportunity to be on someone else's stage, and they want to make sure they maximize that opportunity. So I want to share with you how we design the perfect signature talk. And we do it using a 4-part framework called the Story Braid Framework. The 4-part Story Braid Framework allows you to not only introduce yourself to new people, get them to trust you, but also show them how they can work further with you or donate to you or join you, whatever it is you want them to do next. Now, I say most people do it wrong. What do I mean by that? I mean, most people, when they have an opportunity to speak in front of new people, immediately go out and try to be the smartest person in the room. They start with their content. They start with the stuff that they know that other people don't know. And that is a mistake. The smartest person in the room rarely gets the sale. The smartest person in the room is rarely the most influential person in the room. The other mistake that people make is when they go out on that stage, whether that's a digital stage or an in-person stage, whether it's in front of 3 people or 3,000 people, the first thing they want to talk about is their program or their service or their course or their products. They want to tell people, I sell things. And that is a mistake because you don't have trust yet. So what should you do? Let me walk you through the 4-part Story Braid framework. The very first thing that you should do is not teach content or talk about what you're selling. The very first thing that you should do is start with the heart. We call it an opening heart story. And the purpose isn't to teach or sell. The purpose is to connect. This is the missing step that so many people skip. They think because they're short on time or they want to be the smartest person in the room that they don't need to connect. But when you have an opening heart story that touches the heart of the people that you're with, an opening heart story that connects with the audience. The purpose of the opening heart story is to connect. And so some of you are sitting out there right now saying, yeah, that's good for some people. I've heard Pete's story. That's an amazing story. I've heard this person's story or this person's story. That's an amazing story. I don't have a story like that. I just live kind of an ordinary life. I grew up in an ordinary house and I'm raising some ordinary kids and I'm just trying to get by. Well, let me tell you this, because this is good news, my friends. Ordinary stories are better than extraordinary stories. Ordinary stories actually connect better, sell better, get more people to join your cause and hear your message than extraordinary stories do. Look, I coach 4 different Olympians. I coach 2 different astronauts. I coach 2 people who've been in space. I coach somebody who's been to the top of Mount Everest. And when he tells that story about going to the top of Mount Everest, you know how many people in the room can relate to that? None of them. I coach another person who tells a story about arguing with their spouse about whether the toilet paper should come out over the top of the roll or under the bottom of the roll. When he tells that story, you know how many people in the room can relate to that? Every single person in the room. Ordinary stories are better than extraordinary stories. If you have a 1 in a million story, you're going to help about 1 in a million people. But if you have a 1 in every household story, you are going to help a lot of people. So the first thing we want to do is connect with an opening heart story. That takes us to the second part of the 4-part story braid framework, and that is to teach great content. We call this the head section, heart and then head. And this is where you're really solving a problem for the meeting planner, because I want you to deliver content that actually helps. If the purpose of the opening is to connect, the purpose of the content is to help. Some people, when they get to the content section, they only talk about the problem. They just describe the problem in all different ways. But the people you're talking to already knew they had a problem. I want you to help them get real solutions. And by the way, the real solution can't be just to buy from me. The real solution should help them whether they ever pay you or not. So many speakers that I hear are up on stage saying, trust me, I can help you. Trust me, I can help you. Trust me, I can help you. You want to know the fastest way to get someone to trust that you can help them? Help them. Actually give them your best stuff. Give away your best stuff. And you might say, well, Pat, if I give away my best stuff, why would they buy from me? And my question is, if in the time that you had in front of them, you didn't help them, why would they pay you to do more of that? So I want you to give away your best stuff. I want you to actually help people, whether they pay you or not. And I can promise you this, if you do that, 2 things will happen. Number 1, the meeting planner will love you. And you know what happens when meeting planners love you? They talk to other meeting planners. You will turn 1 stage into 3 stages, into 7 stages, into 20 stages, if you deliver the goods, if you actually help. But if you get on stage and you only describe the problem, or you get on stage and all you do is say, I could help you if you'd pay me. I help people who pay me. I'm not going to help you, but if you pay me, I will. If you do that, I'll tell you this, meeting planners also talk about that. So when you get on stage, if you connect with an opening heart story and help with great content that actually helps people, 2 things will happen. Number 1, meeting planners will love you and they'll talk. More stages will appear. And number 2, people will want to pay you for more. They'll pay you to do it slower. They'll pay you to do it personalized. They'll pay you to do it in person. They'll pay you to do it one-on-one. They'll pay you to do it again for their friends. They'll pay you. Trust me. When you actually help people with a servant's heart, you go up there and help people, they will want to pay you. Which brings us to our 3rd section, which is our tactical call to action. We call this the hands. Heart, head, hands. That's the 3rd part of the story braid framework. And in the tactical call to action, you give them 1 next step. You don't give them 7 things that they can do. You don't even give them 2 choices between, do you want to buy this thing, or do you want to buy this thing, or do you want to buy this or take this for free? You give them 1 next step. That way they aren't confused. That way they don't freeze. A lot of times when you give the audience options, they get confused and scared. And do people who are confused and scared take action? Do they make decisions? No, they freeze. So what I want you to do is to give them 1 next step. A great presentation is like a sidewalk. It walks the audience down the sidewalk to a single point of decision. Do you want to do this or not? Now, sometimes that will be something for free. Do you want a free call, a free appointment, a free assessment, a free download? Would you like to accept my free resource? And sometimes that call to action will be paid. Do you want to sign up for my course? Do you want to come to my workshop? Do you want to join my coaching program? Do you want to buy my products? Do you want to be a partner with me? Many stages that you will be on, you won't be able to sell something. So you'll have to give away something for free to collect the lead or collect the information of the people in the room, and then follow up with them. On other stages, you'll get the opportunity to make an offer, to sell something. And so you should have a call to action that works in both situations, but don't mix them. Just offer 1 call to action. And don't end there. Don't end there, because half of your audience are tactical decision makers and half of your audience are emotional decision makers. And if you end with your tactical call to action, which a lot of people do, if you end with your tactical call to action, you are leaving 50% of your customers behind. You are leaving 50% of the money on the table, and you're simply not having the impact that you could be having. So we always follow the tactical call to action with an emotional closing heart story. We always follow the tactical call to action with an emotional close. So when you put the 4 parts together, it is heart, head, hands, and heart. An opening story that connects, content that helps, a tactical call to action that directs the audience, the one thing that you want them to do next, and an emotional heart close that inspires the audience. Inspires them to do what? Inspires them to do the one thing that you just directed them to do. This 4-part story braid framework is the key to communication on any stage. If you get 10 minutes on someone else's stage, do these 4 things. If you get 30 minutes, do these 4 things. If they give you 45 minutes or 60 minutes, do these 4 things. And you will not only have meeting planners who rave about you to their friends, you will have audience members who come to you afterwards and say, how can I work further with you? How can I go deeper with you? Can I become a client? Can I join your cause? Can I donate? Can I buy? Can I promote you? You will turn people who are in your audience to people who are on your side, on your team, and in your customer base. And so, Pete, when you put this 4-part story braid framework into action, you have the formula for turning every stage not only into revenue, but also impact, and absolutely delighting the meeting planners who invited you to be there.
Pat, I love it. Guys, I'm seeing the comments. Like, is that not GOAT level right there? GOAT level, GOAT level. Imagine this. Imagine all day on day 1, that's what we're focused on is the signature talk and that framework. Because day 1 of the 10X Stages workshop is all about getting you ready for the stage. Day 2 is all about getting you on the stage. This week has all been about getting on the stage, but I had to come drop that nugget in there. And Pat, I'm so excited because we have so many people that are taking action. You probably know this. We've never done what we're doing this week. But I got a question. How many of you have some fear or are allowing introversion to get in your way? Like if you're fear or introvert, if you feel like that's getting in the way and I got to overcome that, like drop that in the comments. If you feel like fear or introversion is getting in the way, drop that in the comments. Used to, but I'm ready. Fear, fear, fear. Yeah, a bit of it. I'm comfortable virtual, but physical stages is terrifying. Pat, every day we're teaching people how to make sure to give something that's a fast acting bonus. And you came up with something that's really crazy cool that we have never done in 10X stage history. But for those that are taking action today or have already taken action the last couple of days, you're going to do a masterclass on overcoming stage fright and speaking with confidence, even if you're an introvert. Right, Pat? This will be the first time that you've ever done this.
Yeah, this will be the first time. You know, like many of the people who are chiming up in the chat right now, I'm an introvert. And for years, I let that stop me from getting my message out to the world, having the impact that I could be having. And I don't want that to stop anyone from saying yes to this 10X Stages workshop, saying yes to the next stage that they win, saying yes to the impact that they could be having on other people's lives. And so what I want to do is put together, we have a master class that I'm going to teach live that you're going to be invited to, and you are going to have the opportunity to learn how you can overcome that, how even introverts like me and people who are afraid to go on stage and people who think they're going to freeze and forget everything, how can you overcome that so nothing stands between your message and the impact that it could be having? I'm super excited about this, Pete, because I want every single person to step into the stage that's available to them, step into the stages that they're winning, and not let fear stop them in any way from getting their message out to the world.
I love it, PQ. And guys, Pat is going to be backstage with all of our Black Card VIPs here in about 15 minutes. And so, Pat, I'm excited. They'll get to go deeper with you backstage today. And guys, this bonus is incredible. Go to 10xstagesworkshop.com, 10xstagesworkshop.com. Look what's happening here. For the first time ever, we're allowing the first 100 people to get the workshop. That's normally a $10,000 workshop at $2,900, all of these bonuses. And then a today only bonus is this bonus that Pat talked about. For anybody that takes action today, we believe that bonus in itself will be worth the value of what your investment will be. And so I'm excited to go to 10xstagesworkshop.com. I got to tell you, the very first time I was on GrowthCon, I was scared to death. I was sweating. I was told I had to have a handheld, and so my hand was shaking. And what I did is I got on stage and I focused on somebody on the left, somebody in the middle, and somebody on the right. And the person that I focused on the left was Elena Cardone, and I didn't know her at the time. And this was in 2019. And I got the chance to become a friend and now a partner with both Elena and Grant. And I've just really fallen in love with her heart, who she is, the way she wants to serve the world. But I've also been so blown away at her evolution with stages and her owning the stage and her feeling like I don't have to be Grant on the stage. I can be me on this stage. And even seeing her a couple of weeks ago in a room of 80 of the most powerful influencers. And literally when she took the stage, people were in tears. So Grant calls himself the hammer. I think whatever the opposite is what Elena is. Like Elena, I don't know what the opposite is, but what it makes them such a powerful couple. But I've just seen her grow so much on her presence on stage. And I just wanted to bring her to you during this 10X Stages Challenge as well. So guys, in the chat, on Facebook, on YouTube, all of you thousands of people, I want you to give some love. Let her see your body language to Mrs. Elena Cardone. Give it up for Elena, everybody. Yeah.
Thank you, Pete. Look at all of those people. That is amazing. It's rocks. I love this.
They're going crazy for you. They're going crazy. Everybody, today is one of the bigger days because you're here, Elena. So, Elena, I just think about your growth in stages. And Grant has told me in conversations, stages have made me who I am today. What when you think about stages in general, what have they been for you in your movement of building EXP and building your empire, your Bay Mastermind? Like how pivotal have stages been to what the things that you're building that are important to you?
Oh man, it's been so vital because a lot of times the fear of speaking in front of people comes from really, I think, not being prepared or kind of knowing how it's going to go. And, when you and Pat lay out the structure of how to deliver the content, and then you kind of get certainty where I'm going to tell this story, and then I'm going to give these 3 tips. And then, just the last things that he said about then I'm going to do the call to action and then lead with like some sort of inspirational story. It just, for me, it's been like I never had structure before. I just kind of go with the flow, and you always left my knees knocking every single time. And now, as I've evolved and I've been around you guys and I've heard the structure, it kind of gives me clarity and certainty to just go, okay, I'm going to go A, B, C, D and deliver, So the knees might still be knocking, but there's a little more comfort in being prepared. And as a result of that, with the EXP Realty, and now I'm building this large, successful real estate team, I've insisted that my people take stages and learn how to speak and craft your story so that, so you realize you have a story. Before I started speaking, I thought, well, what do I have to talk about? I'm not an expert in this or that. Like, I didn't even know I had a story. And then you sit down and you start looking at it and you're like, yeah, you have many stories. You have lifetimes of stories, but sometimes when you're in it, you don't even really see it, right? So being able to craft your own story, own your story, be able to share it, that's what I think people are attracted to. Your authenticity, your special way of communicating, your products and services that I insist on my agents knowing. Like, you're not going to go in this and just try to wing it. Like, no, you need to have your story, like that's real, like not a made up story, but your story because that's what's going to get people to be enlisted in your mission. And as Pat was saying, want to help you. How do I participate? How do you grow in the empire? They're going to want to come to you naturally when you are so sold on yourself and you have confidence and certainty. And, like Grant says, it's best known beats best product. So if you have the best product, but you're not getting it out there because you are letting fear or worry about what people are going to think about you or whatever, whatever the excuses that you tell yourself to make it okay for you not to share your products and your services, which could help somebody like me, but you not doing that for whatever excuse that you have, those reasons not to be great is really, in my book, it's a sin. So because I think the more people share their products and services and you can help and take responsibility for someone, not being afraid of being told no, because that if they had your product, they'd be better. So you could go in front of them and then speak again and be rejected 8 or 10 times until finally they're like, yes, I'm going to do this. And then they do, and then they win. And then you help that person be better in life. And then the whole world gets to kind of be a little bit better the more people do that for each other. So it's about best known beats best product. If you have the best product, but you're too stingy to share it, it's never going to make it to me. And best known means being willing to put yourself on stages, put yourself in front of people on podcasts, know how to deliver your story, know how to get your products and goods and services out there, to make a difference for the better on this planet. So that's the very long answer, but I'm all in on this product because, I don't care who you are. Like my daughters need to know this at 10 and 13. They need to be able to stand in front of people and audiences and communicate and own their space and their power. And that's why, anytime I see what you and Pat are doing, I always come into the back of the room and take notes. I took notes today. And I'm always just learning because I need to be better. I need to be further along than where I'm at in life right now. And it's, it's a crime for me to not be doing more.
Dude, I've got goosebumps, guys. She said like 3 or 4 things. I got goosebumps, and Pat didn't give me goosebumps today. And, Grant doesn't always give me goosebumps, but the last 3 times I've heard Elena speak, it's just so passionate and it just comes from her heart. And I got goosebumps. She said 4 things that I'm just going to pick up with her on. The first thing she said is be best known. I think she did a great job of explaining that. Like, stages are what make you best known. That's how Grant has got his products and services out to the world. And oh, by the way, you can have the best product and be best known. So don't think you have to compromise the product. Grant has the best products out there and he's best known, but too many people have the best product and aren't known, and stages allow you to do that. But she said 3 things, and there's one I really want to hit on. First thing she said, and I want you guys to be aware of this, Elena was the first one to give me a hug whenever our partnership got signed in March. She's like, I'm so excited. And the first thing she did is she goes to an organization, a big organization, and says, everybody in this organization needs 10X stages. I didn't even know she was doing that. She told me that like weeks later. And now that organization is really excited about that. So if she's passionate about that for that organization, what do you think that means for you? But the second thing she said today that I want to ask her about, because Grant spoke about this, like, what if we stopped shushing our kids and helped him understand how to own the stage more and give them more confidence? A lot of people aren't getting on a stage because you were shushed. And Grant told me something, Elena, that I share all of the time. And I share this behind his back too, because people need to know this about him. And you can share positive things about people behind their back. And this is one of those. I would advocate that's who you be in this world. But Grant said, Pete, the most important thing that I teach my 2 girls, I tell the people who teach them, I don't care about science and math and all that. We can get that. But if I can teach my girls to be confident communicators, they can do whatever they want in this world. What comes up for you, because you tackled the girls and they were both in pageants and won things, but how important is that to you, even with your kids? I know you scratched the surface on that, Elena. Uh-oh, she's muted, team.
I did
Yeah.
that. I did that. Sorry. Yeah, I can just agree with you. I just know how I was raised, and the shushing and the kind of do what you were told and not ask questions, and really kind of being validated for who you are, because I was dismissed. I'll just talk about myself. I was dismissed being a kid is like somehow I didn't matter or didn't know enough or whatever. And Grant and I just decided we are not raising our children in that same way. Like, yes, my kids don't just get to do whatever they want. There are boundaries. There are, rules and lines, and there are consequences when they cross those. If they are told that if they cross the line, there are consequences. Because if you're not told that there's consequences and you cross the line, how are you to know that that was right or wrong, right? So I mean that's just kind of the rules that we have, right? But in that, I tell the kids I want to treat them with respect. Like, these are little adults in kid bodies. Like, one day they're going to be an adult, right? But they're in kid bodies, so they do have to earn adult rights. But at the same time, I'm not going to disrespect my kids just because they're in a smaller, tinier, not built out body as mine. Do you know what I'm saying? So I've always communicated with the kids. I always say, this is why we do this, or this is the rules or the laws of the land. And I try to explain it to them. And then I also want to hear their voice. I always encourage communication. Let me know the viewpoint on that. Let's see how we can. I'm not interested in controlling the kids. I'm interested in and allowing them to have freedom of expression and working within them so that they can feel self-determined over their actions. So they don't feel like they have to do everything that mom or dad says, but that they can be self-determined over their own choices and their own actions. So I want the input from them. I want them to have confidence and speaking to adults too. I tell them, I say, look, you have to respect adults, but I want you to know that your truth is your truth, and adults are not always right just because they're older. So respect them, but you don't have to believe or their truth be your truth.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, these two girls, every time I interact with them, and I see them often, I see them almost every month or every 2 months, they are powerful communicators, and they look at you right in your eyes and they have a smile. And I'm just telling you, I believe, and Grant said this to me too, I believe the most important thing that you can have in any movement that you're trying to build is to be a powerful communicator, a confident communicator. You can get the votes, you can get the donations, you can get the sales, whatever you want, if you are a powerful communicator. And I love that Grant and Elena are raising 2 daughters, and I'm raising 1 son and 3 daughters to be powerful communicators. Like, my kids and my wife have been to this workshop. Like, that's how important it is, because I see these 2 boys, Devin up here, these 2 young boys. How old are you guys, Devin? How old are the 2 of you? Write that in the chat. They're here learning today to be communicators. They're here. These young kids right here.
I know what I don't want our kids to be raised to be afraid of people. Even that alone, like we teach our children not to talk to strangers. But it's my job to make the environment safe. So if I safe point the environment, why would I teach my children not to talk to strangers when they grow up and everything they want comes from strangers? Do you understand? If you're taught to be afraid of people, why do you think you're going to be so terrified when you have to stand in front of a room of thousands or hundreds of them? Do you know what I'm saying? Because you've been taught, don't talk to strangers. And now you're an adult and you have to talk to strangers. So, I mean, it's simple as that. That's why I want these children to be not afraid of people, confront people, be able to confront them, be able to own your position in space in front of another child or another human, and be able to talk. That's all there is to it, and so the kids love to speak in front of people because they've never been taught, don't talk to strangers.
I love that. And by the way, I hope you heard, she creates the safe space for them. And now all of a sudden, these two ladies are going to be powerhouses. Like, I'm just telling you, they're going to be powerhouses. They're going to do more than their mom and dad did. Like, I believe that because they're starting at a younger age and mom and dad understand this. Elena, last two things before we let you go. It's so awesome having you. I've seen grow so much from 2019 to 2022. Like, I told the whole team in all of our debrief meetings, like, hey, when we do this mastermind in San Diego with these influencers, Elena's on day one. Like, she's on day one. Like, just the evolution of you as a communicator. I know you've sat in the back of the room and learned and grown in that, and I'm super grateful for that. But like, what are the things that what are you doing to up level in this area of speaking and stages? Like, what are the things you do to really work on yourself? Because I want everybody to catch a few nuggets from that.
Yeah, well, one is, I know you just said this, but one is getting yourself in the room, like study. Stop thinking you get one little class and you're an expert. Like number of times over equals certainty. I tell that to myself all the time. Number of times over equals certainty. So it's about coming in, listening to you, then going out and speaking on stages. Like, I put myself in these very uncomfortable situations. It's not something I naturally just am drawn to. I don't know why. I don't need to analyze it. Maybe it's because I was taught not to talk to strangers. But as I put myself out and continue to commit first, figure the rest out later, commit to going to stages, committing to meeting more people, committing to go up and saying hello or introducing people or practicing my story here and there, not the whole long version, but you can sort of practice your little pitch on people at parties and networking events and kind of crafting your story and seeing what works and doesn't work. It's like taking the chances to just constantly getting comfortable of getting it out of your mouth. Like, some people don't want to say things great about themselves because they have that humble thing going on, like, oh, I can't do that. But then you practice it, make good works known. That's inspiring. People want to hear that. So, it's just going out and trying to decondition or letting go of some of that old false data and just practicing, doing the doingness, committing to doing lives. Uncomfortable lives are for me to do, but just going live and just start talking and just start practicing getting in front of people and speaking. Is one of the things that really kind of just grows and expands me beyond, because after I speak at a growth con of 34,000 people, when I step into a room of 200 and I'm still nervous, but I become a little less nervous because I'm like, you know what? I got this. I did that once. I didn't die. I killed it. I threw down. You can do it again. And then, you go out there and you do it again. And then when you're one-on-one with like somebody that you're like, with, then it's easier because you've racked up these moments in time where you're like, okay, this is one guy. He might be the CEO of blah, 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 but I spoke in front of 34,000 people. And then I remind myself, you can go say hello and introduce yourself. You are as important. You have something to say. Why? Because I know my story. I know what I'm about. I know my mission. I know my goals. I know my intentions. Like, let's see how we can collaborate, and make a bigger difference.
I love that, guys. I mean, guys, listen to what she's saying. It's constant practice, constant putting yourself out there, being uncomfortable. Like, she says she learns and then she goes and does right away. Like, she does, and she implements it and does it in a networking event. Like, listen to the things. She has become like one of the most powerful female voices out there. Like, really. And that's with a lot of work and in a short period of time. And so, Elena, the last thing, because I'm gonna let you get back to the familia there and the family there, but the last thing is, guys, Elena's come 2 or 3 times just to sit in the back of 10X Stages workshop and just be a student. And it blows my mind away. I'm like, hey, do you want to come up? She's like, no, I'm here to be a student. And it just blows my mind away. You've been in this workshop that we are giving everybody the opportunity to be a part of. And we're doing some things that we've never done to just really make sure that they get in the room. You've been a part of it. You've seen how powerful it is. Just speak to the workshop itself and then your final words for everybody, Elena.
So the workshop is a game changer. It's, it really does allow you to have confidence through communication and certainty in your story and networking, and the importance of stages and getting known and collaborating with other people. I've implemented what I've learned from Pete and Pat through this thing, and it's really blown my brand up. I know I'm also attached with the Grant Cardone brand, but implementing these tools and these techniques has just allowed me to really escalate and grow my following organically, like not from Grant's audience, but as a new audience, speaking on new content that I've learned from these systems and these little, it's little tweaks that you do. It's not like, oh, climb a mountain. It's these little steps that you just implement little by little by little, which are easy. And they go on top of each other on a nice little gradient so that you can actually do them and win and do them and win and do them and win. And the next thing you know, you've grown and you've gotten known and you've expanded and you have more followers and more of a base. And, more people just want to get involved in your life and what you're doing and want to become part of the empire.
Yeah, I love that, Elena. I love that. And people are talking about how kind she is, how beautiful she is. All of those things are true. And she's so powerful. Like, I'm seeing her own stages. Just because she's connected with Grant, if she didn't do a good job on stages, people don't invite you back. I have more people asking me for Elena today than ever before, constantly saying, can we get Elena? Can we get Elena? Can we get Elena? So just being connected with the brand doesn't do that. You have to still be great or you don't get invited back. She's getting invited back all the time because everything we're teaching, she's actually doing and applying and constantly growing. Elena, I know, thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Oh yeah, what an honor. Be great, everybody.
Hey guys, give her a lot of love in the chat. Woo! Give it up for Elena Cardone. Yay!
Thank you, Pete. See you later, everybody.
Hi. Awesome. Awesome. A beautiful human being. I love being around her and Grant. They're just great. They're not just partners, they become friends too. And so she is a powerhouse. And guys, I'm asking you guys to step outside of that fear. Like, step outside of that fear and step into your greatness. Like, the wealthiest place in the world is the graveyard because it's stories not told, missions not lived out, messages not heard, inventions not created because of being fearful and never stepping out of your comfort zone. Like, step out of your comfort zone. I really want to encourage you guys today. Well, hopefully by Saturday, we'll be where we need to be. But I really want to encourage you guys to go to 10xstagesworkshop.com, 10xstagesworkshop.com, all of these bonuses. And then today only is the fast acting bonus of overcoming fear, whether you're an introvert or you're afraid of the stage. Pat is going to do a master class and it's going to be unbelievable. So listen, this is where we're at. Saturday. If you have a friend that needs to be here that hasn't been here all week long, like I'm telling you, Saturday will bring everything together in 60 to 75 minutes. And we're going to celebrate all of the stages that you've won. All of the stages that you've won. I'm going to hear about some of the stages that you won between now and Saturday. You now have the systems and the tools to go out and win stages. You now do. And on Saturday, if you missed a little or you missed none, you're going to want to be here because we'll bring everything together, celebrate those wins. And Grant Cardone is going to be with us on Saturday. I'm so excited. 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know that's a little early for my Pacific folks, but we're going to have a power hour and we're going to do a lot of celebrating and a lot of great things. And so make sure you go to 10xstagesworkshop.com. 10xstagesworkshop.com, 10xstagesworkshop.com, and get plugged in. And I cannot wait to see you on Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Guys, we're going to go backstage right now with our Gold Card VIPs, and we'll see YouTube and Facebook and everybody else out there. We'll have you all backstage on Saturday. Man, what a treat, guys. Huh? Backstage, like having both Grant and Elena today, both Grant and Elena. Like, hey, who's already a part of 10X, who's in on 10X Stages Workshop, who's already taken that action? I want you to write that, put 10X Workshop. And if you're like, Pete, I know I got to get in, I'm getting in, right? Getting in. If you're like, I'm getting in, right? Getting in. Like, Joel, good. Joel, you're still not in, Joel? Come on, Joel. Guys, who's on the fence? I don't know if you're on the fence. Like, who's on the fence? Do not have an answer, a question not get answered if you're on the fence. Write the word fence. Like, it's time for you to speak up. I'm not telling you to be silenced or quiet. I've answered like 60 questions this week. Nobody does that backstage. We'll see if Pat can beat me today, because Pat's going to be taking your questions today. Like, you're either in, you're getting in, or you're on the fence. Like, you fall into one of those three buckets. And I really want to make sure that you understand, like, Elena has sat in 2 of these workshops as a student. Like, that blows my mind away. That blows my mind away. Hey, if you're on the fence and you just need to talk to someone, we have real customer service, like people who get on the phone and answer your questions for you. So if you need someone to talk to, just say, write your number and say, call me. I'm on the fence. And I want to make sure that you get your questions answered, because I'm believing that we'll have over 100 people by Saturday. And I want to make sure that you all can take advantage of that. Cool. Hey guys, did y'all enjoy Pat Quinn? Did y'all enjoy Pat Quinn today? Yeah. PQ, bro, give them a little bit extra nugget today, maybe an extra backstage nugget that front stage didn't get. And then, bro, you can see their hands up. I've trained them to be very concise on their questions. And if you need more context, you will ask them the question immediately. But I want to see if you can, I'm averaging 25 to 30 PQ. So let's see if you can beat that between now and, I know, 2 or 2:15 Mountain Time. So guys, I'm going to turn it over to PQ. Give it up for PQ. I will see you guys on Saturday.
Sounds good, Pete. Thank you very much. Sorry I didn't give you goosebumps today. That was a little hurtful, but I'll take it. I'm excited to be here today. And as we talked over that 4-part story braid framework, I just want everybody to know that this can change all the communication that you do, including one-on-one conversations. Sometimes we save some of our best stuff until we get on the biggest stages, and we wait our whole lives to get on that one big stage. But if you start implementing this today, if you start implementing this on the phone with people, if you start implementing this on sales calls with people, you're going to find that you are going to get more yeses, more opportunities, more stages. Every single time you use the 4-part story braid framework on a sales call, one-on-one across the table from somebody at Starbucks, this is exactly what you need to turn people from people who are watching you to people who are working with you, from people who like you to people who buy from you. This is how you turn followers and fans into clients. And so whether you're on social media live this afternoon doing a Facebook Live, whether you're having coffee with somebody tomorrow morning, think about doing these 4 things. Connect with them, help them, direct them what you want them to do next, and inspire them to do it. And so we're going to open this up for questions now. I'd love to answer your questions. Does somebody bring these up, or do I just say, Andrew Blackwood, you are first out of the chute?
Yes, thanks so much, Pat. Big fan. I appreciate everything you had to say. My question is based on what Pete was talking about the first impression video. I'm not exactly sure when to use that. Do we only use that when somebody is making a contact or a referral for us, or when's the best time to use it?
Well, it's called the first impression video for a reason, Andrew. The first communication that you have with a meeting planner is when you should deploy this. And so sometimes that is a cold meeting planner, somebody who has an event that they don't know you and you want them to know you. And you have so many options when you reach out to a meeting planner for the first time. You could email them. But trust me, I ran events for 10 years for my own company. And because we had so many spots for speakers to speak at our big national events, I had hundreds of speakers reaching out to me every single day. And they all sent the same email. You know what the first word was in every sentence of their email? The first word in every sentence of their email was I. I am a really good speaker. I have a really successful business. I am famous. I wrote a book. I can make a lot of money off of you. It was just I, which is why I love the first impression video script, which Pete gave you, which starts with you. You know the same people I do. You have put together a great organization. You have put together a great event. Your audience is changing the world. Your audience is having an impact on so many people. Your audience has a problem. And then after all of that, then you say, I've helped other people solve that problem. I mean, it is so revolutionary not to start every sentence with I. And so the two things I would tell you is you can deploy the first impression video, both with the people your champions are introducing you to. So you saw Pete do it with a Mary Morrissey. That was a referral from a champion. Matt was one of his champions. Matt said, hey, you can send a video to my mom. He sent the video. So that's a champion deployment. You can also use the first impression video on a cold outreach. And so if you have identified a meeting planner and you know how to get in touch with them and you know they have an event and there's a stage that they can be on, sending that video that is using that script, not a bunch of I statements, that's going to be so much more effective. So the first thing is that's when you can do it. The second thing is don't just send an email, because the person who controls the stage that you want to be on probably gets 50 emails a day of people wanting to be on their stage. Use other means. Don't be afraid to pick up the phone. Utilize a very similar script. Don't be afraid to send that video. And that's why the power of the video, we've had, and I'm sure we have testimonial slides that show this, people saying that they've received a lot of communication from speakers who wanted to be on their stage, but this is the first time they've ever had a video sent to them. For every 100 videos I get from speakers who want to be on my stage, I get one video. I get hundreds of emails, one video. And so do something different than what everybody else is doing. And that's where the video is going to help you both with champions and with cold outreach. It works for both. All right, Amber, you are up next.
Awesome. Hi there, Pat. First of all, I want to say it's amazing to get to see you here. I'm part of the Power Room Mastermind with Andrew. So I got to see you in Nashville. You were amazing on stage. I was just talking to somebody about that event the other day. I've only been in a sauna a couple times, but one of them was just walking into the hotel in Nashville. It was like 110 degrees with 110 humidity. It was crazy. Not working that day, but hey, you rocked that stage. I have a question about, so with the videos, if I have been on stages and I have a reel, I have really only two major speeches that I give on stage. What do you think about the different types? How many do you have? One of your main speeches that captivate your audience, do you use one for every single stage that you book that's just so powerful and impactful, or does it matter and depend on, of course, the audience? What would you suggest with that?
Oh, that's a great question. Great question. So I want to address the first thing that you said is you have this reel of a highlight reel. And a highlight reel will never be as powerful as a YME video. And here's why. Because in a 45-minute talk, anybody can cut out 60 seconds of them looking good. Anyone can cut out 60 seconds of the audience laughing. So as a meeting planner, when people send me a highlight reel, yeah, it builds credibility. You've been on a stage, but it doesn't let me know if you're a really good speaker or not, because even in a 1-hour talk, I can pull out 60 seconds of somebody sounding pretty good. Where you speak direct to camera in a YME video to the meeting planner, you're communicating from the heart, you're communicating effectively, and it's unedited. You saw Pete's, I mean, if we were going to edit it, the first thing we'd do is, fix his hair and shave his beard and improve the lighting. We would have edited a dozen things, but we didn't. Instead, it's all about the message coming from his heart. And so don't confuse the speaker reel with your YME video. They have different purposes, and you can use both, but the YME video is always going to be more popular. Now, your question is about the number of talks that you need. And you said, if I switch audiences, should I have a second topic or a second talk? And the answer to that is no. Here's when you switch, when you have to have a second talk. when the problem that you solve changes. So one of the first questions I ask everybody I work with, and if you come to the 10X Stages workshop, I'll probably ask you this question. What is the problem that you solve for your audience? And once you know the problem that you solve, you can write your whole talk. And you can give that talk to an audience of, the problem that we solve is customer acquisition. We use stages to get you more customers. We can do that for consultants. We can do that for coaches. We can do that for financial advisors. We can do that for real estate investors. We can do that for people who have multi-level marketing businesses, network marketers. And so it's the same problem, customer acquisition. So we give the same talk. When the talk changes is when you solve a different problem. So my question for you, Amber, is really, do you solve one problem for all these different audiences? Or do you actually have more than one problem that you can solve for people?
I think it all boils down to the same thing. It really has to do with confidence when it comes down.
That's one talk. Then you just need one great talk. What I love about the signature talk is I don't have to start every morning with a blank sheet of paper. Every time I get a new opportunity to speak, I don't have to start from scratch. Mm-hmm. Trust me, I coach people, and the first thing they say to me when I sit down to coach them is, every time I give a talk, it's completely different. And I always kind of laugh and say, that's why it never gets any better. Yeah. Because until you give the same talk over and over again, you're never going to improve.
And if I could say,
go ahead.
The most powerful thing you said in Nashville that I remember to this day is, don't ask your friends or family how you did at the talk. Look at the audience's view, have someone record it, and look how the audience responded. So I absolutely love that.
Yeah. So great, Amber. I don't think you need two talks. I think you have one talk. You can give it to multiple audiences, all around confidence. Great job. Brian McDonald is next. Hey, Brian, how are you today?
Fantastic. Thanks, Pete. Pat, sorry. This is
I'm the cute one.
I am unmuted, right? Awesome.
Yep.
Okay, great. So probably more of a question for Pete, but you may have the answer. Where will we be able to find all the items that we purchased, as well as any of the amazing bonus content? Would it be like on a portal or something, sort of like Cardone University, or will they be all sent through different emails? Any idea?
That's actually a better question for Miranda than it is for me. If she wants to weigh in, if she doesn't, she can type it in the chat.
Okay. Sorry, Brian, repeat that for me one more time.
Where do they get all the stuff, the bonuses and stuff?
That all will get delivered to you via email. So it's all going to come to you via email. If you don't see it in your inbox, check your junk or spam mail folders, but that'll all come to you via email.
In a consolidated email, or will there be just a bunch of emails coming through? Because I know how Grant loves to send, at least 8 a day.
Right. I actually am not crafting the email myself. I would imagine consolidated, but it could possibly be the other way. I don't really have the answer for that, but I can find out and drop it in the chat.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. We'll take care of you. Danusia Lipinski is next. How are you today?
I'm great. Hi. Love that I'm here. The two prior guests had asked some of the questions that I had. My question to you is, how do we make this the story, the signature story, into 1 minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes?
All righty. So here's the stuff the backstage people that get that not everybody else gets. The part of your presentation that flexes is the content. So we often put accordion lines here, as this is where it expands and contracts. And so if you have a 45-minute keynote, we often think that the opening story will be about 5 minutes. The closing two parts, the tactical call to action and the emotional call to action, will be 5 to 10 minutes. And that leaves 30 minutes for your content. Now, if by chance you get less time than that, and you get only 30 minutes, you'll probably still have the same opening story. You'll probably still have the same closing story. What will contract is the content. You'll only teach 5 to 10 minutes of content. If you get a 90-minute session or a 2-hour workshop, or you do a full day workshop, you'll probably have the same opening story. You'll probably have the same close. What will expand is your content. And in a 90-minute presentation, you'll have an hour or maybe even 75 minutes of content. And so that's how the whole thing expands and contracts. Now, your question is about a really small amount of time. And so at some point around a 5 to 7 minute talk, you can't teach any content. The whole thing collapses. And basically, you're just telling your opening story and you're giving them a call to action. Now, what we want you to do is to think about, if I have 5 minutes to tell that story, how would I tell the story? And can I tell the same story in 2 minutes? And then to your question, can I tell the same story in 1 minute? Okay, so that's how you get it down. Now, there may be a time frame where you don't. Okay, and so I want to give you one of the most powerful sentences in the world. This is the 30-second introduction sentence. Holy cow, we should be charging more for this backstage if I'm going to give this one away. This one is going to be one. This is the most powerful introduction sentence that you can have. If I only had 30 seconds with people, this is what I would say. I help blank who struggle with blank. That's it. I help business owners who struggle with customer acquisition. Boom. I help single moms who struggle with overwhelm and busyness. Boom. I help veterans who are struggling with PTSD. Boom. I mean, once you have this sentence, you can introduce yourself in 15 seconds, and two things will happen when you start to use this sentence. And if you want to, I love the fact that Elise typed hers into the chat. If you want to type yours into the chat, I'll take a look at them. Here's what I love about this. You immediately will find out if the person sitting in front of you is an eligible customer or not. And so if you're at a cocktail party introducing yourself to a lot of people, if you're on an airplane sitting next to somebody, and you say a sentence like this, you immediately they'll either say, oh my gosh, I could use help with that. Like, oh, I'm one of those. You help doctors invest their money who struggle with how to invest their money. Oh my gosh, I'm a doctor and I've been wondering how to invest my money. Like, you'll instantly find out, is this worth pursuing? But here's the other magic to this. And you see, I just Scooby-Dooed you. When you have something really important to say, you shouldn't yell, you shouldn't pound the podium, you shouldn't point and say, write this down. When you have something really important to say, you should just Scooby-Doo. Just look left, look right, and drop your head about 6 inches, and the whole audience will lean in. If you watch the recording of this, you'll see the whole audience leaned in when I Scooby-Dooed. Here's the other thing that will happen when you start to use this sentence. Every conversation you have will lead to referrals. Every conversation you have at any networking event, on any airplane ride, anywhere, at the sideline of your kid's soccer field, it will lead to referrals. I help police officers who struggle with depression. I help parents who struggle with bedtime. If I say that I help parents who struggle with bedtime, and the person I'm talking to is not a parent, you know what they'll say? You know, that doesn't affect me. I don't have any kids. But boy, would you be willing to talk to my sister? I help police officers who struggle with depression. Oh, I'm not a police officer. Boy, but you know, the guy who lives 2 houses down from me is a police officer, and he was just saying he's thinking of quitting his job. Would you be willing to talk to him? Every time you have a conversation, this leads to more referrals than any other sentence in my whole repertoire. This leads to more referrals because they'll immediately say, that's not me, but here is somebody you could work with. So if you only have 30 seconds, you really don't have time to tell a story, I would deploy the most powerful sentence you have, which is, I help blank who struggle with blank. Once you get to 2 or 3 minutes, you can tell a story. Once you get over 4 or 5 minutes, you can tell a story and a call to action. If you're over 7 minutes, you can add content. Great question. Jordan is next, and Paul somewhere. I don't see Paul. Claiming there's Paul, and I don't see him.
He's with the little ones. We have a fairly unique story, and so we're trying to figure out how to balance having that one in every household story, but also sharing that unique perspective and really niching as well. Any more tips for that?
Well, I don't give tips, because if you want to get paid like a waitress, give tips. If you want to get paid like a consultant, give strategies and processes and consulting. So never say that you give tips. Give strategies. I've got a strategy for you, Jordan. Can you tell me the problem that you solve? What's the problem that you solve for other people?
We solve the problem of being seen and recognized for your awesomeness for online entrepreneurs.
That doesn't sound like a problem. That sounds like a good thing. What's the problem that you solve?
With so the flip side of that, not being recognized for your awesomeness, even in your own head, the self-doubt, the imposter syndrome.
Okay. So has there ever been a time in your life when you were not seen and you had self-doubt and you lacked confidence?
Absolutely.
Then that's the story to tell. Is that the story you're telling?
Yes.
Okay, so everybody in your audience is struggling with that problem, right?
Right.
And then you tell that story. And I want you to add these words. Like many of you. Like many of you, there were many years where I struggled to get my message out. And I felt unheard and unseen. Like many of you, I lacked the confidence to even believe that I had a story worth telling. And like many of you, I would watch other people and think, what I have to offer is better than what they're offering, but they're in the spotlight and I'm still here behind the scenes as the best known secret. Now, there may be other parts of your story that are unique, and you might think they're better parts of your story, but there is no better part of your story than the part that you have in common with your audience. You may think what separates you and makes you unique is that one thing happened one time that has never happened to anybody else, but that's not actually the best part of your story. The best part of your story is the part of the story that everyone else in the room nods their heads and says, oh my gosh, she is me. See, if you're telling your story, you're doing it wrong. When you're telling our story, you're doing it right. That's why when I have the opportunity in a room to tell a story, I don't tell a story about being on stage in front of 30,000 people. I don't tell a story about even being on stage in front of 3,000 people because very few people in my audiences have done that. I'm much more likely to tell a story about a time I was on stage in front of 30 people, or the time up in northern Wisconsin where I spoke on a stage and there were 200 chairs set up in the room and only 4 people showed up at the event. And they couldn't take away chairs and the room didn't break down into a smaller room. So I had to speak in a room with 200 chairs and 4 people. And no, they didn't sit up front. I'm just glad I spoke before lunch because we took a break at lunch and my buddy Ron, he spoke after lunch. 2 of the people didn't come back after lunch. And so in the afternoon, he spoke to 2 people in a room that had 200 chairs in it. And no, they didn't sit up front. So I'd much rather tell a story like that because other people have been in empty rooms and tried to speak. Other people have been in front of 3 people and 30 people than in front of 3,000. Of course, I've done some incredible things. I spoke in the Pyramid in Memphis in front of 16,000 people. It was amazing. Amazing for me, but you can't relate to that. You've never done it. So it's the wrong story for me to tell. The right story for me to tell is a story where most of you are like, oh, yeah, I remember the first time that lights came on. I've done a lot of stage work because I was a professional magician growing up, and in my young adult years, I was a professional magician. So I'd been on stage since a very early age, but not in front of a lot of cameras. And then I was going to record my first DVD. That's how long ago it was. I was going to record a DVD, and they brought in these cameras and these lights. And even though I'd given this presentation 100 times before, the moment those bright lights came on and hit me, I forgot everything that I had said 100 times before. My mind, when those lights come on, my mind just goes to mush. That's a much better story for me to tell because almost everybody in this room has forgotten everything they're going to say, either when the camera turned on or they walked on stage for the first time. That's a much better story for me to tell than the time that I killed it in front of 16,000 people. Or the time that I was on this one challenge and there were, 45,000 people on Zoom with me. Those are I could tell those stories and wow you, but my goal isn't to wow you. My goal is to connect with you. Last piece of encouragement I'd give you, Jordan, is that just because you don't tell your super unique story here doesn't mean you don't get to tell the story. Remember, different stories have different purposes at different spots in your presentation. The purpose of the opening story is to teach us about you and to connect. So we can never tell a client story here, and we should tell the most common story that we have. The purpose of the content stories is to teach. And so they don't all have to be about you. They all have to be about the content. And a lot of times that super unique story that you have is better told here. And then the purpose of the closing story is to emote emotion or inspire. And so a lot of times the super unique story, the story that really separates you, is best told at the end, not at the beginning. So I want to encourage you that you get to tell your whole story. You just don't always get to tell the unique parts of it in the first 5 minutes because we have a different purpose there. Our purpose there is to connect. So there you go. Terry is next. Hey, Terry.
Hi, Pat. I love the relatability of all of those stories that you're telling. So thank you for being so forthright and generous with those. My question has to do with the talk that you sent or the video that you're sending, that short one. And I would love to hear what kinds of content or what really struck you when you were like a meeting planner that really set people apart, that you just go, wow, that was so unique, and I still remember it today.
That's a great question. So the first thing that sets you apart is that you don't just send one email to my inbox, because honestly, less than half of them make it to my inbox. There's so many filters these days that half the emails you send. Here's what I always laugh when speakers tell me they've reached out to stages and they keep getting no's. And I say, well, did you really get a no? Like, oh, I reached out to that stage and I got a no. And I'm like, well, did you really? What'd you do? They said, oh, I sent an email. And I'm like, and did they email you back and say no? No, they didn't email me back. I'm like, they probably never got your email. Right. And I can't respond to every email I get. Every Monday I walk in and there's 1,100 emails in my box. I can't give a personal response to all of them. A lot of them get deleted. And so the first thing I want you to say is just don't send an email. Pick up the phone, send a video, reach out on social, send a hard mail package. We talk a little bit about hard mail in our workshops, that so few people are using USPS to actually mail things. So when I get one, it's like, oh my gosh, I open it and I read it. I usually read it. Like, it's just so unique. So when you sending a video is great because it's so unique. They're not going to get a lot of videos. Second thing is do your homework. If you think you can record one video and send it to 10 meeting planners, you're doing it wrong. Okay. So you can't be like, hi, I love your event. You're impacting a lot of people. I'm a really good speaker. You should have me. Okay. Now I can blast that out to everybody. I mean, these are super personal. These are like, hey, Mary, John, John used to work for you. And now John actually works for Dean, who I know. And I'm not from Phoenix, but my family took a vacation to Phoenix a couple of years ago, and it was really fun. And I'm just excited if I get the opportunity to come back to Phoenix. Hey, I know your organization, and I talk to a lot of people who are really influenced by your organization. I mean, you're naming the organization, you're naming people, you name their event. Don't get the name of their event wrong. Don't be like, oh, I want to speak at your big event. Like, I want to speak at the Spark 2023. Like they spend a lot of time naming that event. So you should name it too. And you should be able to speak about what it was. If you attended the event before, you know people who did. You should know who spoke at it last year. You should know what the theme of this year's event is, so that this video could never be sent to anyone else. This video is so unique. Now, they don't have to be long. You saw Pete, and Pete says, now I can make 30 of these in an hour. He always says, I can make 30 of these in an hour. I just 30 of these an hour. I don't expect you to be able to make 30 of these in an hour. I expect you to do 15 or 20 minutes of research, and then 5 minutes practicing, and 5 minutes making the video. If you can do one of these every 20 minutes, you're doing pretty good. And like everything, Pete has spent 10,000 hours doing this. And that's why he can do 30 an hour. In the beginning, nobody does 30 an hour. In the beginning, if you can do 2 an hour, you're doing great. But do 2 an hour. I mean, that's not a reason not to do it. Reach out to 2 an hour. And if you spend 3 hours doing this, you'll reach out to 6 stages, and don't be surprised if you win 1 or 2 of them, especially if they're champion stages. Now, remember, the win rate on a champion stage is like 80%. And so if you make 6 videos to champion stages, you might win 3 or 4 of those stages. And so uniqueness is what separates them. And then I said it before, I'll say it again. Watch yourself starting sentences with the word I, because the video is not supposed to be about you. The video is supposed to affirm them. What's everybody's favorite topic? Well, my favorite topic is me. Talk about me. So when somebody sends me a video, it's like, Pat, you are impacting lives. Pat, your last event was killer. Pat, I saw you on stage at this event, and it was just amazing. Like, I still remember, did you hear what Amber said? I still remember when you said this. Like, it was months ago, and I still remember when you said this. What a great thing to put in a Why Me video. Then talk about my audience. Your audience is changing the world. And your audience has a problem. Your audience struggles with this. Now, I have a proven track record of helping people just like your audience solve that problem. And then the last thing is to finish with win-win. It's a little point that Pete makes, and he covers it way more at the 10X Stages workshop. So, I mean, day 2 of the 10X Stages workshop is a master class of how to win stages. You gotta just sit and be ready to learn, and he's going to have you do it, of course. But the win-win at the end is just this little nuanced thing where you don't just say, I'd like to be on your stage. Like, I'd like you to hire me. Like, that's a win for you, but that's not a win for them. So I would love to have a conversation with you to talk about opportunities to speak, win for me, and sponsor, win for them. Now, it may or may not turn into a sponsorship. It may or may not turn into a speaking opportunity for you. But when you say an opportunity to speak or sponsorship opportunities, immediately in their heads, they're like, oh my gosh, I might get a win out of this. Like, it turns it from, hey, here's somebody who wants something from me, to here's somebody who can offer me something, and maybe we could have an exchange that's beneficial for both of us. So don't forget the win-win at the end. Great question. Great question. Lisa is next. Hey, Lisa.
Hi, Pat. I just want to say I've used the StoryBraid with my kids and my husband, and has improved our communication tremendously. So big win. My question is along the lines of what you're saying about freezing in the middle of the talk. What I've done in the past is I just repeat the sentence I just said in a way that I want my audience to think I'm emphasizing, but I'm buying myself time to think of my next
Awesome.
thought.
It's a pro strategy. You've seen me do it a couple times here. When I get to a spot and I'm like, I'll just say that again until I figure out what I'm saying next. Yep.
So I'm wondering if you have any other tips for when I freeze, and also just how to memorize my talk, but deliver it in a way such that it sounds like a conversation.
Oh, Lisa, have I got a deal for you? Good news. Good news is coming, people. Here's the good news. The greatest speakers in the world have something in common. You know what it is? The greatest speakers in the world use notes. It's true. Think of the greatest speakers of our generation, from Martin Luther King to Bill Clinton to Nelson Mandela. Think of them. They have something in common. They all use notes. Martin Luther King had his notes in front of him during his I Have a Dream speech. You can see them in the Smithsonian Museum. I have notes in front of me today. Now, what the high boy or something like that? It's just a tall round table. And I have 2 things on that table. I have my notes and I have my water. Okay. And so if I'm speaking on stage and I'm speaking and I'm speaking and I'm speaking, and then I forget what I'm going to say, and I've repeated the last sentence the second time, and I still forget what I'm going to say, and I'm totally freezing up. Excuse me. I get a drink of water. And I'm right back at it, remembering what I'm going to say. Nobody in the room even knows I looked at my notes. They just think I walked over to my water bottle and got some water. So I just want to encourage you. This is different than a script. So the first thing I want to say is nobody wants to see you on stage reading your presentation. Nobody wants to see that online or on stage. Second thing I want to say is that if during my talk today, and you saw my first 10-minute talk today, during my 10-minute talk today, you thought it was really good. If I would have been holding a piece of paper that had the 3 things I wanted to cover today, and once in a while I looked at the piece of paper just to remind me of the 3 things that I wanted to talk about today, would you think I'm any less good at this? No. Nobody is going to care if you take a note card up on stage with you and hold it during your presentation. They're actually going to appreciate the fact that you prepared, because there's a lot of people who go up on stage and just make stuff up. But you actually prepared what the 3 most important things to say to me today were. Holding notes in your hand, not reading, but holding a piece of paper with the 3 things you want to say, having notes on a table, having notes behind my camera, those don't make me any less good at what I do. It just makes sure that I use our time together wisely by organizing the information that I want to share with you. So I just want to encourage you. The greatest speakers in the world use notes, and you should too. Just put them in a spot that it's not obvious that you're using them, and don't read to us. Nobody wants to be read to us. I would much rather have somebody hold a piece of paper with a few bullet points on it than read their PowerPoint slides to me. It's a much better experience. All right, Joel and Mary are next. Hey, how are you guys today?
Good, thank you. How are you today?
Awesome, really good. We have time for this question and one more, and then I think we're going to wrap this up backstage. By the way, if you haven't signed up for the 10X Stages workshop yet, I'm super excited because one of the bonuses, if you sign up today or before today, but it expires today, this is it, is this masterclass that we're going to hold on overcoming stage fright and speaking with confidence. So you have to sign up today to get that, or previously. And I'm excited about that because we're going to do it live. And don't worry, we're not going to make you stand up and speak. I might give you the opportunity to stand up and speak if you want to do it. It'll be held virtually, but I'm going to teach you everything, from what I do before I speak, what I do while I speak, and you might not have even thought of this, what I do after I speak, that makes sure that the next time that I speak, I am just as good as this time, and I'm not nervous. Now, I'm not telling you you're never going to be nervous. I'm going to show you how to overcome nerves. I'm not going to tell you that you never want to be tired after you speak, because after I speak, I'm tired. Being around people exhausts me like it does most introverts. I just want to make sure that you never let this stop you from getting on the stage. So that bonus, my word, that bonus might be worth the price of the whole workshop itself. The workshop itself is amazing. 2 full days. The whole first day is on Signature Talk, where we go over all of this in such detail and give you a chance to try it and do it and get feedback at the event. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. Got Phoenix, got Miami. It's going to be awesome. All right. What was the question? I might have interrupted.
That was awesome. Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you. So we're just kind of building this. There's a lot of different things that we could touch base on, but I mean, our new business is something that we're focused on. So connecting though, it's kind of hard because my experience for housing for Indigenous people in Canada has been different. A, because I'm part of the 60 Scoop, I was taken away, and B, the fact that I am an outsider for my nation since I am an outsider. So 60 Scoop means I don't have that connection. So I'm trying to build the right connection with people so that when I get into the housing area, like we're building industrial hemp housing materials right now, that we're building the manufacturing site. So building this story and wrapping it all around there is interesting for us because I don't know where to attach it, because for me personally, my uncle doesn't have a house in Saskatchewan. So that's my drive for what I'm doing. But
okay, well, I think you answered the question there, Joel, but let me teach a little bit so that everybody understands. The question that I ask people early in our coaching is this question: is your journey the customer journey? Okay. So earlier I was coaching someone who helps people get seen and get their message out. And I said, was there a time in your business when you were unseen and you lacked confidence? And she said, yes. And I said, great. Your journey is the customer journey. If you're helping people lose weight and you have a weight loss story, your journey is the customer journey. If you're helping people make money and there was a time when you were short on money and then you made money using this method, your journey is the customer journey. Sounds to me like what you're saying is that your journey is not the customer journey because of some things that have happened in your life. Your journey just isn't the customer journey, and that's okay. Everybody in this room has to answer the question, is your journey the customer journey? If the answer is yes, the story to tell is obvious. You tell your story of overcoming the problem. If the answer is no, which sounds like it is in your case, then we just tell a different story. there's a couple of options that we have here. My favorite is of someone else who does have the customer journey, who's not a client, but has a closer relationship to you, which is why I think the story, is it your uncle or your dad that doesn't have a house right now?
My uncle.
Your uncle. This is the perfect story to tell, because his journey actually is the customer journey. His journey is the customer journey. And it's not like he's a client. It's not like he's somebody who you read about in Chicken Soup for the Soul. He's somebody who you know and love, and it's personal to you. That's one of the things, the purposes of the opening story is to show your why. Like, why are you dedicating the next years of your life to doing this? And one of the ways to do that is basically to tell a story that says, look, this is personal to me. This isn't about making another buck. This isn't about getting one more client. This isn't about getting famous. This is personal. I take this personally. And I think you have the story to tell that. So if the answer to the question, is your journey the customer journey, is yes, we know exactly what story to tell. Tell your story of overcoming the problem. If the answer to the question of, is your journey the customer journey, is no, the second best option is to tell a personal story that shows why this issue is so personal to you. Make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. That's the story to tell. All right. The last question of the day goes to Richard Taylor. Hey, Richard.
Hey, love your 4-part signature model. In terms of the closing story, what criteria do you use for that story? For example, would you use an actual customer impact story for that last story or something else?
So I think the place for customer impact stories are actually here in the content. It's one thing to tell a testimonial, but it's much better to tell testimonials when they're attached to the content that actually created the testimonial. So instead of just saying, hey, I worked with this person and they got these results, you should say, I worked with this person and taught them what I just taught you and got these results. So I think the best place for testimonials is here. I think when you're thinking about the emotional heart story at the end, we have some options. Some people like to close the loop on the opening story. That's hard to do. We don't do it with a lot of the people we coach right now because it's so hard to do, but some people do that. And if you've got the perfect story where you can kind of save the ending for the end, it works. Most often what we do here is think about the emotion we want the audience to have. Do we want them to take action? Do we want them to hire an expert? Do we want them to be inspired? Do we want them to believe in themselves and believe that they can do this? Do we want them to stop procrastinating? What do we want them to do? And then we tell a story. I think these stories should be personal. I always think you should have a personal story at the end. If you're going to connect with their hearts at the beginning and the end, this is heart and this is heart. I think it should be a personal story. Very rarely do we put a client story here at the end. Almost always we have a personal story. And a lot of times, this will surprise you, it has nothing to do with our topic. See, if I've been talking about financial advising for 45 minutes, one more financial story isn't going to get me there. But if I'm talking about financial stuff for 45 minutes, and then at the end, I tell a story about hiking to the top of Half Dome in Yosemite, and there were times halfway up Half Dome that I didn't think I was going to make it. And there were times 3/4 of the way up Half Dome, I didn't think I was going to make it. And there was a moment when I was about 40 feet from the top of Half Dome when I didn't think I was going to make it. And I made it. Isn't that how saving for retirement is? Like when you're in the middle of it, you think you're behind, and maybe you are. And when you're 3/4 of the way through it, you think, I'm never going to get there. And some of you who are within months of retiring are still thinking you're never going to get there. But we can help you get there. And when you do, you're going to have a view that is just amazing. You're going to have a feeling that is just filled with emotion. And you're going to know it happened because you took every step of the journey that was needed to take to get there. See, that's a better story, because if I just tell one more financial story, the people who've been listening to my financial stories for 45 minutes are like, oh, great, one more financial story. But if I stop and instead tell a story on a different topic that teaches a lesson, it wakes everybody up and they say, this isn't a financial story. This is actually a national park story. I know about Half Dome. That's the one that that documentary was on where that guy almost fell. Like they're like awake and they're alive again. But then you turn it around and say, isn't that just like planning for retirement? And so I want to encourage you to think about what emotion you want you have your audience to have at the end. I want to encourage you to tell a personal story. And I want to challenge you to tell a story that has nothing to do with the topic that you talk about. And that is going to inspire your audience to do whatever you just told them to do next. So, wow, I don't know how many we got to, but I love the questions today. Thank you. And every one of the questions applied not just to you. I appreciate you asking questions that not only applied to you, but applied to everybody. I want to encourage you one more time. They're going to drop the link in the chat, I'm sure. If you have not signed up for the 10X Stages workshop yet, today is the day to do it. And why is today the day to do it? Because of the bonus. Because you know all the other bonuses. You know it's a 2-day workshop. You know that you get a guaranteed audition to the Great American Speak Off. And today you get access to our masterclass, Overcoming Stage Fright and Speaking with Confidence, so that you never let your fear, you never let the thoughts that are in your head, you never let the fact that you'd rather be alone in a room than in a room full of people. And if you don't believe me, I'll tell you this one last thing. I was at a wedding this past weekend. There were 75 people at the wedding. And the introverts in the room will relate to this. My wife and I went to the wedding. At the end of 2 hours at this wedding reception, my wife, I knew one person's name, and it was my wife's name. And at the end of the 2 hours of that wedding reception, my wife knew all 75 people who were there, and their kids birthdays, and what they're going on vacation next. Like, that's how she is. She's just this extroverted person who gets to know people, and I'm the person who can be in a room of 75 people for 2 hours and only know one person's name, and that's my wife. But I haven't let it stop me. I haven't let it stop me from saying yes to stages. I haven't let it stop me from saying yes to conversations. I haven't let it stop me from saying yes to reaching out to meeting planners. I haven't let it stop me from having the impact on the world that I was created to have. So I just want to encourage all of you to sign up for the 10X Stages workshop so we can spend some time together talking about how you can overcome those feelings of fear. And if you're not somebody who experiences fear, if you're somebody who being on stage gives you energy, I think you're still going to learn some things that you can do to be more inclusive in your presentation and in your work to include people who struggle with that. And if you're an introvert, you're going to absolutely love it. And then I'll see you at the 10X Stages workshop. It's going to be amazing. If you haven't signed up yet, now's the time to sign up. Thank you, everybody, for being part of the backstage. I'm excited about today, and I hope that you go out and not only find, but actually go win some stages. Pete and the gang will be back at the next one of these, and he's going to want to hear. He's going to ask who's won some stages, and I want you to be able to type into the chat, I won a stage last night. So get out there and do the stuff that Pete taught you to do today, and go out and win some stages. Thanks, everybody.